All right, well, good morning, folks. We're here with my good friend, Jason, AKA Swell Runner. Welcome to Adventure Ready, episode 4. Well, man, it's been an awesome trip riding with you through Southwest Colorado. And before we parted ways, I wanted to get a walk around in this big old beast you've got going on here.
Big old beast.
Most people kind of know you from your previous vehicle, which was something similar to that.
Yeah, I had a 2016 Silver 4Runner. It was about the spitting image of yours. Had that from 2016 to like very into 2019. It was just under 4 years.
Gotcha.
And had about 100,000 miles on it. It was great. I actually still talk to the people that bought it. They send me messages every now and then. Like 2 weeks ago, they said, hey, we were taking the drawer system apart and you signed it. Anyway, pretty cool.
That's awesome. Clint's a cool guy. He's actually a patron too.
You know Clint. There you go. He is. Him and his wife are great people.
I guess first question, full-size rig now, man. What do you think?
Yep, American Expedition vehicles. Prospector XL, and what they do is they take a factory Ram. You can build it spec just the way you want from the dealer, and then it goes right over to AEV, and they do all of the upfitting and basically convert it into what they call a Prospector XL. This is a Ram 2500. It's got a 40-inch tire, and they cut the fenders and a lift kit. It's only a 2-inch lift kit, and it's a whole suspension setup and everything to give it the intimidating look, imposing presence that it has.
Absolutely. Man, I tell you what, it looks so sexy going down the trails. I mean, I don't know, it's got me thinking, like, it went through some crazy stuff too. You wouldn't expect a full size to just make Poughkeepsie Wall look like a little baby.
I was not expecting it to be that easy either. You know, there's something with the big tires. The traction control system works pretty good. You know, I was always really impressed with the Toyota traction control system, but this system works really good. I don't have lockers, like nothing like that. With the tires and the gearing and everything like that, it seems to walk all over everything. I don't even have sliders. That's something that I'd like to do, but I need to figure out a good solution with the steps, because I really like the steps, because you can't really get into it without the steps.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, we scraped up the steps pretty good, and they kind of worked like a pseudo slider, and they still work. Like, I wouldn't want to put the whole weight of the vehicle on them. I'm just saying they still work, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, we touched them a few times, and I was really surprised. And I got to say, though, with the 40s, even though you said it's only a 2-inch lift, the clearance is pretty impressive. I was really concerned there, Poughkeepsie there for a minute, but you know, it works. It works real well.
Well, I mean, anybody in the off-roading community will tell you the best way to get ground clearance is to have a larger tire. And everything that we're doing is balancing when we're trying to upgrade these vehicles to handle more complicated terrain, if you will. Everything is a balance between running the larger tire size and making sure all the other components are still able to work properly. You know, if you could run 40s on a 4Runner, that'd be great. But there's so much work you'd have to do in order to run that kind of a tire that you hit the point of diminishing returns way too soon.
Gotcha.
But for something like this, what they did is it does have a 2-inch lift, but then they cut the fenders and then they relocate all the stuff in the front that's within the fenders to be able to run that 40-inch tire.
Wow.
They're also relocating the axle they move it forward, they shift it forward with a different knuckle that basically holds the suspension and axle and driveline components. But
crazy.
That enables them to do that.
All right, man. Well, why don't we start up here at the front and just kind of walk me through what they do to this thing.
So the base is a 2022 Ram 2500, and from the factory, you know, it's the Laramie package, and it's kind of it has most of the options. It doesn't have a sunroof. There's a couple things it doesn't have, but it has the adaptive cruise control and some of the other creature comforts that I wanted. And then they ship that over to AEV, and AEV does the upfit. So it's got the Prospector XL kit. XL is the Roman numerals for 40, you know, in case you didn't know. Whatever.
Oh, I got it now.
But or it's just like extra large.
That's, you know, what I thought.
Part of what they do in the XL package is, you know, you've got the lift, you've got the 40-inch tire kit and all the stuff that they do that. They've got the front and rear bumper. These are actually steel bumpers, but the thing that's really interesting, and I don't know how detailed I want to get with this, because I don't know all the facts, but here's the thing that I like about it. Most of the time when you go with a metal bumper, they do a powder coat, right? And if you've ever been down that road, your powder coat doesn't last that long. 2 or 3 years, especially on the front, you start getting rock chips, rust, all this stuff starts happening in the front. It's unavoidable. The way they treat this is all OE spec. So I have a steel bumper from the factory, and it's not going to get nicks and chips that are going to develop into rust in a couple of years. It's just the way it's treated, it's a little bit better.
Gotcha.
So if I'm wrong on that, forgive me, but that's what I understand.
Gotcha.
But it came kitted with a worn winch. I've got these huge recovery points. They're right to the frame. Got these lights. The lights are new from AEV. I've never ran the AEV lights before. These have been, they're like insanely bright. You can attest to that. So we'll see how long they last. I'm sure they're going to last forever, but I'm new to those. The brush guard is something new. I actually just put that on. They sent it to me. It's a bolt-on. I just put fog lights in. They're Baja fog lights with a CJC fitment kit, and it retained the factory sensor. So this whole thing popped off, and then all of this is new, and then this bolts on in the back, and it plugs into the factory harness, so it works just like your stock fog lights. It's amazing.
Easy.
You know, I don't know what else to talk about in the front other than the fact that it looks freaking awesome.
It's just a beast.
It's mean looking, yeah.
And the snorkel's got its own presence to itself as well.
Yeah, the snorkel, here's a fun fact.
Fun fact.
This is the first production vehicle with the AEV snorkel.
What?
Yep. This was the one they put together the prototype snorkel, and they did all the test fitting and all that. And then this is the first vehicle that they put the snorkel on, and then they sold it. So I got the first snorkel vehicle. Of course, like 2 days later, there was like a dozen others that had the snorkel because they released it for sale. That's how it works.
But you're still first, and it's documented.
But I'm still first, yeah. The 5th gen Ram has, same motor, same transmission, all that stuff as the 4th gen. They just updated the styling and stuff. And I really like the new look, and they updated some of the interior stuff.
All right, so you got any special bits up here in the cab?
So, one of the things that's kind of cool about AEV is they do all these little touches. Inside here in the dash, you've got a little AEV logo. So they take apart the dash and they give you a little AEV thing right there, just to make sure this is an AEV. It's a little touch, it might be kind of silly, but I think it's kind of cool. It makes it feel a little special.
Absolutely.
You get AEV headrests, which is nothing super duper fancy, it's easy to change those out, of course, but.
Oh, wow, that's nice. Yeah, it's those little touches though, right?
And then I'll show you this around here. So AEV has a deal with, forgive the mess, geez, goodness, I'm messy in here.
This is post-trip. Let's make that clear to everyone. I like to do these rigs dirty because we're talking about how they work for you, not just...
Yeah, we use them. I just wiped the seats down yesterday. We were covered in dust inside. You can still see remnants here. You get a plaque here. And so this plaque right here actually tells the world that this is an actual serial numbered AEV Prospector XL.
Okay.
So it's not just a Ram that somebody put some aftermarket parts on. This was actually built by AEV.
Gotcha.
To me, that's a little special, and the reason why is because I know that whoever put whoever did the upfitting, they did it to a high standard. AEV has a relationship with Ram, also with Chevy and Jeep. Well, Ram and Jeep are Chrysler, but the relationship that they have with them is that all of the parts and components here are covered under a factory warranty. So I'm able to go to a dealer, Ram dealer, and say, something's wrong with the fender, and nothing would go wrong with that. But the point is none of this voids the factory warranty until including the factory warranty. And the way they're able to do that is they have a relationship with these manufacturers. Everything's been tested to OE spec. So this is like original equipment spec, everything on here.
Wow.
So it's not just like something I bought from some aftermarket parts company that developed some component. This is like going and buying this from the dealer. So that's the thing that I think is special about this.
Well, that's huge for a lot of folks too, because when you invest in something like this right here and then go and put another $30,000-$40,000 into it, when one of those components goes bad, or if something on the factory system goes bad and the dealer goes, oh, well, it's your tires are too big, it's your fault.
Yep.
So this is a big peace of mind.
That's an interesting point, because all of the components, the driveline components, the axles, all that stuff has all been tested to OE quality to run the setup that this is currently running.
Wow. Okay. I did not realize that. I just thought it was upfitted.
Yep. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
Look at that. You see that? Barely. It sucks.
No, that's a memory mark. You can call that the Lifestyle Overland Adventure Scratch right there.
There it is.
Right there. You want me I can get a knife and I'll initial it right
no.
there.
No metal. No metal. That'll source.
I won't go too deep. Just the tip.
Yeah. So these trucks are really interesting because, I don't have a lot of experience in big trucks, but people that I know that have had experience in big trucks or driven a lot of big trucks, they get in this truck and they just think it's probably they feel like it's just going to be all over the place, right? You're running a big tire, it's a big truck, it's probably not going to feel very stable. I can cruise at 80 miles an hour down the highway and it feels like I'm driving a Cadillac.
Wow.
It's just so comfortable. And then people, like my whole family, everybody, if we gotta pile into a car or a vehicle, they want to ride in here because the back seat in this is more comfortable than any of the other vehicles that we own. And we've got a Land Cruiser. There's more leg room, there's more space. They just love the truck. One of my favorite things about the Ram though is that you've got the seats fold up, they just flip up, and then you've got this deck and you've got a support brace. There's support braces here, right here. So you just fold it down.
Oh, that's factory.
And it's from the factory.
You didn't build it, okay.
No, and you've got a flat surface all the way across.
Wow.
So it's actually really great for the type of travel that we do, because I've got plenty of room to put stuff like this in the back if I want to, if I need to use the seats. But most of the time, when I go on a trip, it's myself and one of the kids. Obviously sit up front, and we've got plenty of room here to stack stuff. I used to run my fridge right here before I had a solution in the back.
Right.
So this is a really great space for this type of travel. I know people that have slept back there.
Oh, wow.
Not in mine, but like before they had a setup, they just laid that out and put like a cot. You can't lay straight, so you kind of have to be curled up. But
well, you also have perfect spot for the patch collection, and I have to say, you've got a nice one there.
Yeah, you see there's LSO ones on the other side too.
Nice.
This is my LSO one right here.
Oh,
I've got all the patrons one,
Yes. Well, thanks for being a patron, man.
There you go. That's right. I think I'm a premium subscriber.
Well, and that's why I sponsored you with the hoodies. So.
There you go. The patches under the seat are really nice because if you have kids, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
And then they're and then it's like fries. They don't see it there. So when the seats are down, they don't see the patches and they never come off. It's great.
There you go. All right. Well, let's get to the meat of the story here. What are we working with back here? What is this cabin that you've got bolted to the back of this sucker?
So this is the AT Overland Habitat.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when I first got into overlanding and kind of off-road camping, the combination of the two, which we all call overlanding, I watched some videos, and one of these guys had this thing on the back of his truck that allowed him to have all this living space and then all this tent and then sleeping out back. And I was like, that's like the perfect setup, right? Because it collapses down to a pretty compact size, and then it opens up to this like cavernous interior space. I thought that was the best setup ever, but I had a 4Runner at the time, so it wasn't going to work. So I thought to myself, someday if I have a truck, that's the setup that I want to have. And with my white truck, I was running a rooftop tent on the back on a rack. Probably in my head, kind of moved on already from that idea. And then I'm looking at the portal, the classified section, and one of these was for sale in Oregon. And because you really don't see these come on the market very often.
Not in Florida.
Never in Florida, I'll tell you that. But so I didn't have to go to Oregon to pick it up. I was able to get it transported to Prescott. And I drove out there and they installed it on the white one. I pulled it off the white one and just installed it on this. So the cool thing about this setup is it's totally open inside. So you have, when it's deployed, and we'll show you in a second, you have the entire footprint of the bed of the truck that you can use and kind of be in without having to adjust your sleeping area. And to me, one of the huge selling points to that is the fact that I can be up in the morning when it's 30 degrees outside. I can have the heater on. The kid or kids can be up there sleeping. I can be getting breakfast ready or doing whatever I want inside where it's comfortable and not like freezing or getting snowed on or rained on, and get ourselves ready so that all I have to do is, this is the selling point, right? Most of the time when we're camping, we don't really want to be inside all the time. But when it's like 25 degrees outside or snowing, I don't want to be cooking breakfast outside. I'm sorry, just don't. Right. Or cooking dinner, or cleaning up, or changing my clothes. So you can do all of that stuff inside during inclement weather. That's to me what I really, really like about this.
Gotcha. Well, let's take a look inside. So you're still kind of early in this whole phase of retrofitting this to the current truck, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Although I would say I'm further along already than I ever got with my white truck.
Okay.
My white truck, I was running a deck drawer system. They're fine. Wasn't super in love with the setup. It took up 12 inches of space, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I wanted to do something different with this go around. By the way, I did want to make note, do you notice how we have a built-in awning because of the way the setup is?
There's a ton of coverage under this thing.
And on top of that, I have an annex that clips on underneath here, and it goes all the way around. And when you have the annex set up,
wow,
you have a ton, because the annex, you know, that goes out at an angle. So you have a huge footprint of covered, protected, weather protected space under here. And it only takes a second to set it up. So this is also one of my favorite things though, because as you know, when you're at camp, if it's raining a little bit, I mean, you need to have a covered space to get in and out of your space, right? Mm-hmm. And you can hang out here and not get wet. It's great.
That's perfect.
So obviously this is very 1.0, but to get going, primarily I really wanted a place to be able to strap stuff down and mount a fridge and a fridge slide. I'm running the fridge off of Goal Zero, so obviously I needed a way to strap the Goal Zero down as well. But so what I did is I got a sheet of Baltic birch plywood from my local lumber supply store. And I sanded it down, made it nice and pretty and smooth. I don't have a finish on it yet because I'm gonna do more stuff and then I'll put a finish on it. I'll pull it back out. It's pretty easy to take in and out. And so what I did, I drilled 6 bolt holes in the wood through the bed of the truck and used, I think they're M12 bolts and M12 riv nuts. I did through bolt the fridge slide, so I've got T-nuts on the other side. And so I have L-track back behind there, and I measured out the L-track specifically so that it just barely fits the front runner boxes in the back, and then in between the front runner boxes and the next one, it just barely fits my wrap-on toilet to be able to mount that down because it's kind of wide.
So you've just basically given yourself the ability to strap down any and everything that you want to take.
Yep.
And not let it bounce around the back of the cab. That's awesome.
Yep, and I'm kind of living out of front runner boxes right now. I don't love that, but it's a pretty good solution for now, you know. And inside the front runner boxes, I've got recovery gear. I've got, food boxes with food stuff. I've got, I kind of call it my toilet miscellaneous box because it's got my wrap-on supplies and plugs, but it also has lights and other things like that.
Gotcha.
And then I've got a box with a little buddy heater. So I just kind of climb up in here. The cool thing about this setup is from the bed of the truck up to the top up there, which is not quite here, 7.5 feet. Well, actually,
wow.
I don't know, this is probably 7 feet.
Maybe more than that,
Yeah. So it's really cavernous. There are other truck bed topper camper solutions that I've looked at that frankly was interested in that don't provide this kind of space. This, I love it because the bedding is over there. I don't have to move the bedding to be up here and hang out. The kids can be sleeping. I can be over here doing whatever, working, whatever I need to get done. And it's really awesome. And I have access, to the fridge here. I have access to other stuff. This is a shelf right here that moves, I can move this. I can get this up out of the way if I want to, or I can move this over here. I usually use this space over here for just kind of a shelf storage. I'll move stuff up out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's really handy. And then in the morning time, I don't know if this is TMI, but in the morning time, I'll take my wrap on and I'll set it up right here and I'll get my business done. Now, I like to have my routine every day.
Explain what the wrap on is.
So a wrap on, let me just pull this down real quick and I'll show you guys. This is a Japanese toilet, and everybody knows the Japanese are famous for the toilets, for their fancy toilets. So the bottom comes undone. So this will come off, and there's legs that swing down here, and it plugs in, so it needs power. But when you do your business, you hit the flush button and it just goes bzzz, and it like sucks everything down, and then it's got a clamp that seals off the plastic toilet bag, if you will.
Right.
And then you pull, it just basically deposits it down between your legs, and you pull it out and you put it in the trash.
So it just heat seals your business.
Yeah, it's actually amazing.
Okay.
The last setup I had, I used these little stupid, biodegradable duty bags.
Yeah.
And if they got wet for more than a couple of minutes, then you look down and it's starting to leak.
Oh, geez.
And that's just...
No, thank you.
Yeah. A lot of people like these though, because you can kind of pull these things apart and take the whole setup that's inside out, and you can build it into something.
Oh, so like you can make an enclosure in here.
Yeah, this is a portable solution. Doesn't have to be. You can pull the entire assembly out and install it into a permanent like wooden platform if you wanted to or whatever.
Now you did mention around the campfire that you're going to do some work in here with either some 80/20 or maybe plywood. You going to build this into it, you think?
Yeah, you know, I've been getting into working with wood a little bit. I've gotten pretty comfortable. I've got some of the gear, you know, some of the saws and the tools and stuff, and I've gotten pretty comfortable with doing. This platform is a precursor for kind of what's next.
Okay.
And the first thing I'm going to build into, I'm going to build like a storage cabinet, for lack of a better term, back here to have the Goal Zero under and put the propane on top so that it'll be a nice, good, stable mounting platform, and I can tuck it back in the corner. And then I want to build, I don't know if that I'll build something in, or maybe I'll just mount this assembly right here so that I don't have to set it up.
Gotcha.
And so I'll put the toilet back here behind the fridge, and then I can run power right here to the Goal Zero, and I'll be good to go.
Perfect.
The propane tank, I won't bring a propane tank with me if I'm camping in warmer weather, but this is to run the little buddy heater. 20-pound propane tank is obviously overkill to run a little buddy heater.
No, it's not.
But the thing I like about this is that I can and actually Kevin taught me this. You can get these nice little fancy propane bottles that are more convenient to carry, but if you can't find a place to fill propane, you know, then you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah.
You can almost always find a place to do a 20-pound swap. Although this tank's been with me for a long time, I kind of have some sentimental value to it.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It is cheaper to fill it.
Yeah. And you get more.
And you get more. But using this to run the little buddy heater, I think I tested it one time, and I think I can do like 21 nights or something like that, you know, keeping it on low.
Yeah.
And so being able to run a little buddy heater all night long when it's 20 or 30 degrees outside is a real game changer, especially in a setup like this, because I can keep it about 40. If it's 20 degrees outside, I can keep it about 50 degrees in here.
Oh, that's nice.
I could crank it up, but
Sure.
there's no reason for it to be any warmer than that when you can bundle up.
That's it. Yeah. Coming in.
Let me get my feet out of the way.
Oh my goodness. Just for reference, I am 6'3", and standing here, I can't touch the crest. Look at that. That's massive. So sleeping platform, tell me what you got.
So I think this is 7 feet. It may be more. Yeah, it's probably 7 feet because I'm 6'1", and my feet are all the way down here to the end. I don't know what this is. I think this is, it doesn't look like a 3-inch. Maybe it's just a 2-inch foam. Yeah. But I've had several rooftop tent solutions, and iCamper was my favorite tent, but the worst mattress. The CVT tents I had were probably the best mattress. I won't say the worst tent, but that was like, they were fine. Just the design at the time, that was what it was.
Sure.
This is my most comfortable setup.
Wow.
And we probably all tend to say that about our current setup.
Sure.
But I'll tell you, like, I sleep really good on this setup. It's flat, it's big. I wish it was a little bit wider. It's a little tight with one of the kids. Okay. If I've got 2 kids with me, I do something else that we're not really set up to do right now. It's sleeping down there.
So it's still a 2-person kind of sleeping arrangement.
Yeah, I mean, you could do 3 people up here if they're smaller people. It'd be tight. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it.
Okay.
But they make a platform to go over here. You can see where that deck, where that wood is. And you see the lip, see how it's sitting on that lip? Okay,
so this.
You can definitely have a platform that goes across one side of this and sleep another person there very easily.
Okay.
And that may actually be the setup that I do. It's just another version, another thing to think about. I haven't gone down that road just yet. But this is it's a great setup. You got the storage up here, which I was thinking last time, I'm like, I don't know why you would ever use that, because you'd have to take everything out of there every time you pack it up. But
true, but jackets and blankets for in the morning, I guess. Yeah, raincoats could be drying out.
It's nice to be flexible. It's nice to have flexible. You got all these little pouches here. The thing that I also like is you got a bunch of windows. You know, you got these half moon windows here on the side. You got these windows right here. These half moon windows actually open up completely for that whole circle, and you can pop the whole thing out.
Okay, so like this too, right?
And the whole thing opens up, and you can just pop that out and
wow,
all the way around. See?
Dude, that's nice.
So if it's hot and you want to get some ventilation, or if you just want to dry things out, you can really open it up.
It's like the Wizard of Oz, like,
yeah,
who it is?
Who's the other thing is, it's not as easy to show you, but over here on the far side, you can see there's a zipper window there.
Okay.
And when you open up that zipper window, that whole part of the tent, you see the clasps, the straps hanging down on either side and the clasps.
Okay.
That whole thing lifts up and it opens up and it clasps. So you can open it up and leave the screen.
Oh, so this whole panel can come up too. So
yeah.
So you can get 360 views almost.
Yeah, but you can undo the zipper. You can undo the zipper for the mesh and make it totally open like this, or you can just leave the zipper depending on if you want a lot more ventilation.
So question, if you put a small roof rack on the cab of the truck, could you then access stuff from this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be super handy
too.
too.
You can, and that'll hold your weight up there. You could climb up there and be up there if you wanted to.
Wow.
So, and there's lots, the other thing I like is there's lots of like little hook thingies. And so I've got these little LED lanterns from Goal Zero that just plug into the Goal Zero, and you can daisy chain them. So I'll plug one in there, hang it there, daisy chain another one over here, and daisy chain another one over here.
Nice. Awesome, man. What a unique solution to rooftop camping right here.
This has been my favorite setup. Sets up and breaks down really quick and easy. With a lot of the clamshell solutions that have a solid base, like if it wasn't open like this, you have to do lots of tucking and kind of magic work to get it all to kind of go back in.
Yeah.
Because it's open here, when I close it down, there's like 2 seconds of tucking just to make sure it's not hanging out.
Wow.
And there's no trouble with getting it closed down because there's no extra material, you know, like the iCamper or any other rooftop tents, for instance. You're trying to pack it up with stuff inside so that you don't have to take that stuff out. That's really not an issue here because there's nowhere to put it. I take my bedding and put it in a duffel.
Okay, so you're saying like you do have to pull all your bedding off of that because it is going to flip.
Right.
Otherwise, it just dump in the floor here.
Well, and the mattress stays. It's Velcroed.
Really?
It's Velcroed down.
Okay, so it doesn't fall out.
So it doesn't come out. It just kind of flips over with this. But the bedding, the blankets and stuff like that, I put them in a duffel bag.
Man, what a setup! I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with for a solution on your cabinetry and everything.
The thing that's really cool about a setup like this is you can do a full truck bed camper build out, and people do that. They like cabinetry, toilets, kitchen, drawers, sink. I mean, there's a lot of different things that people do in this type of setup, and you have the freedom and flexibility to do it and the space to do it. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. What a setup, man. Very cool. I think we only have one more thing to talk about, and that's the tailgate. This is a nice little setup. I like the cup holders here. What is this?
I think the company is, I think it's AL. Yeah, that's it. AL Off-Road. So if you've got a truck, you know that the way this is typically on trucks, it's like you set something on, you got to like balance it on the corrugation. It falls, spills. It's not a good like flat surface to use or whatever. This company offers this solution, and there's a few companies out there. They're not the only ones, but I don't know if this is aluminum or if it's a sheet of steel. I can't remember, but it's got like I guess a bed line or some sort of coating on it. You undo the bolts of the factory thingamajigger that's here, and then you put this on, and they give you new bolts that are a little bit longer, and you put them in, and I mean, you got a nice flat surface with cup holders. I put this thing on here so that I could pull this up at night when I'm getting in.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
I've seen other people put, pieces of airline track, smaller pieces of airline track, which I think is a more tasteful solution than what I did, and I may retrofit that later on. But that's what this is. It's great. It gives you cup holders and everything.
Awesome.
This is the rigged Ultra Swing, and with my white truck, I had a rear bumper that had swing outs. If you have swing outs, you know the pain. I hate swing outs. They serve a purpose, but they're super annoying. They really create like a barrier of entry to getting in and out and closing them, and you know, all of the stuff that comes with it. And I really don't want it to be painful to get in and out. So I didn't want a bumper with a swing out. So we'll get to the AEV bumper in a second, but the rigged Ultra Swing gives me an ability to run a spare tire without having to have it in the bed of the truck because it doesn't fit underneath.
Right.
The ability to run a spare tire on a swing out on a temporary solution. The thing that's cool about the rigged Ultra Swing is most of the time, you know, this kind of setup when you're running it on a hitch mount, you can just put it in there and put a hitch pin, but it's going to rattle like crazy. It'll hold it fine, but it'll make a lot of noise, and you'll feel it too. This is a 185-pound tire. You'll feel it shaking around. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's a big meat.
Yeah.
What they do is they've got this wedge design, and so you slip it in there, and then it's got a bolt that goes in this wedge, and the wedge pulls it up and it tightens this whole thing up. And you put it at 85 foot-pounds of torque, and this thing is solid. You followed me for a little while. Did you feel like you saw it moving around?
Not at all. And then also Billy and Trina, who had the big GMC, they've got this with even more stuff bolted to it, and
Really?
it was impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got the table, which is, it's nice to have an extra surface. It's got a cutting board,
Okay.
which slides out. I got this thing called the side hack, which I can mount like a Rotopax here or some other things right here. And then it's got Molly on the other side. I can mount stuff too right here.
Nice.
They say that you don't want to put more than 250 pounds on here. I think it'd probably hold more than that, but I know that they need to have a weight rating, and that's fine. I've got a Blue Ridge Overland gear, you know, trash bag on the back, which I've had this thing for 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, sun, dust, rain.
It does not look 4 years old.
I mean, Brog makes a great product.
Yeah.
I have nothing but great things to say about them. It's handmade. I mean, you can't get better than that.
That's true.
So one of the cool things about AEV and the Prospector XL kit, when you buy a Prospector XL, you get an adventure ready rig. It's turnkey. There was very little that really needed to be done. Actually, there really wasn't anything that needed to be done other than, you know, a sleeping solution. But one of the things you get is you get an actual functional rear bumper that looks freaking awesome.
It does.
You know, this is plastic, right? This is not the important part. The important part is your protection, your bar work that you have that goes all the way around the outside. My very first trip, I had the vehicle for 2 days. I was on this really gnarly trail in the San Rafael swell that I didn't realize was going to be so gnarly.
You're welcome.
And I had this thing that came down. It was like a pretty good drop, probably 2 feet or more. And it came down, and I asked the guys, because, you know, to me, like, I was a little bit like, is this like all looks, or is this function? And they're like, no, that's function. It's welded in, you know, it's like it's there. And I came down hard right here, and then somewhere up here, and
Wow.
where was it?
You can see some paint missing, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's really dirty, so you can't really see, but right there.
Yeah.
I came down with the full weight of the back of the truck on this bar work, and it dented the bar, but that was about it. So, but it's functional. That's the point.
Wow. That's awesome.
So the bumper looks really awesome. The thing that the guys at AEV are really, really tasteful in their design work. It's easy to just throw something together. It's really hard to put something together and make it look beautiful also. And that's kind of what I was trying to say is you know, it's functional, but it's also beautiful.
It really is. And there's nothing else like it. That's a very unique style.
It's the same design they put on the Jeep bumpers too. You know, this is very much an AEV look. But yeah, I mean, it's killer. I really like it.
Awesome. Okay, so last question. How long does it take for you to set up and then tear down?
I haven't timed myself. I bet you I could be ready to go to bed in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
You know, and that's pulling stuff out of the bag and getting the bedding up there and stuff like that, and kind of getting stuff out. Because I take stuff out, like you can see my waterproof duffel. That's one of the things I like about carrying a waterproof duffel is, you know, I can take the stuff out of it and I can slide it under there, and I know it's fine if I get weather. So, but just the tent itself, I mean, maybe 5 minutes. I mean, it really doesn't take very long.
Okay.
I got a couple of latches on either side in the front, and then I need to get this bar and that bar over there, which is your stabilization. They connect together, and I use, you know, those get used to connect to this, so that's how you push it
Okay.
closed or open.
How hard is that?
It's not hard.
Really? Okay.
I mean, it's not hard.
Because of the struts here.
The struts help.
Yeah.
The struts also help with the bringing the weight down over on this side.
Okay.
But it's really not hard. You have this long pole, so you can really kind of push it. Kind of smaller, not as strong as me person do it. Yeah, of course, but
Okay.
might take a little more effort. But
Gotcha. All right.
in a minute, whenever I break down, maybe you can get some
I'll do that.
some B-roll of it. You know.
Okay. You've got one last accessory up here too.
So yeah, I've got 200 watts of solar up there. It's really funny, every time we show anybody that, the first thing they say is they go, well, it doesn't work when it's set up. And I'm like, well, I'm only set up at night, so,
right.
You know. But I have that piped in, and there's an Anderson plug over here on the side. I've got that ran around, and it goes right into the Goal Zero.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
One other thing a lot of people ask is they go, hey, this is nice and all, but how much weight is that going to hold? Because it seems like it's going to be, seems like you wouldn't want to hang out over the edge.
Sure,
right?
it's a big cantilever.
It is. This is rated at 600 pounds from AT Overland.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm like, what, 165, 175 soaking wet. You know, and I'd say I'm probably maybe an average or less than average sized person, but the point is you can have 200-300 pound people, and a 300-pound person's a pretty big guy, girl, whoever. And having two of those in here, you'd be pretty tight anyway. I don't think you'd do that.
Yeah.
But the other thing you can do here is if you need to get your workout while you're at camp, you can just do that.
There you go.
It's bolted onto the bed, so
That wasn't smart at this altitude.
I wouldn't do that if it was C-clamped down, you know.
Sure.
You couldn't have a solution like this C-clamped down. It's bolted to the bed of the truck.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that makes the install a touch more complicated, but that's the only way to do it.
Very cool. Well, man, heck of a setup. It's been a heck of a trip. I've enjoyed riding with you yet again, and it's been a pleasure getting to see your new mobile home here.
Yeah, this is it. Super stoked. This has been the shakedown trip. I just got all this wrapped up like 2 weeks ago. So
Awesome. Can't wait to see where it goes from here.
All right.
All right. We'll see you on the next trail.
Bye, guys.
Keep going, keep your momentum going.
That was the easiest I've ever seen a full-size anything do that. That